Hello, very exciting episode today. Joe here, and Daniel, you're not in your regular studio. Where are you at today?
Hello, everybody. I'm at Mugello, in a very sunny Mugello, actually, and in Italy, and the beautiful Tuscany hills, as you can see. Trucks are still alive on track here, the Mugello, and we are here in the paddock, and we'll be reporting from the 12 hours of Mugello this weekend with five ladies drivers, actually. So it's going to be a pretty interesting weekend, I'd say. How are you, Joe?
Overall, good here. Very excited. Of course, Daniel over at Mugello, as he mentioned, the 24-hour series is going to be there. We're going to be lining up some driver interviews, so definitely we'll ensure Daniel has the opportunity to go talk to the drivers, report to all the viewers, and of course, we encourage all our viewers share your question and comments. We'll try our best to get them answered by the drivers as we talk to them. So definitely
Absolutely.
very excited to have Daniel there, and we'll let him go see where he can find some drivers. Meantime, we'll give a quick report on this weekend's past races, especially for Natalie Decker. Natalie Decker, of course, was racing in the Trans Am Pro Am class at the Charlotte Roval this past weekend. The road course has been used more and more since NASCAR started racing at the Roval recently. Natalie Decker ran the NI29 Technologies Audi R8 in the SGT class. Came home second place, a great battle for the lead, but overall second place, 12th overall for Natalie, a great day at the track for a lot of viewers. Of course, they may recognize her for her trucks and Xfinity Series racing experience. Has some good road racing experience overall, though. Of course, she tried out for the W Series in 2019, made it pretty far, but didn't make that final cut to get in the field. And unfortunately, in 2020, she's been sidelined with some medical issues. However, she seems to be doing better and back at the track more and more. 2021, looking really promising. Of course, she did one Xfinity race so far this year at the Daytona Road Course. Unfortunately, this circumstance beyond her control was taken out a little early in that race. So definitely looking forward to seeing her in the next race. And I know we'll be checking in shortly with Daniel to see how he is doing at the Mugello racetrack. And for those of you that are just joining us, Daniel is at Mugello. We're lining up race drivers for interviews. Very exciting day, and we thank you for tuning in to the Grid Network. Of course, this is the first time we are trackside at the racetrack. Another racer we want to talk about briefly before we go to Daniel over at the racetrack, Jennifer Jo Cobb. Her and Haley Deegan both race at Atlanta Motor Speedway, with the race at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Camping World Truck Series. With both of them, it's a little bit of a difficult race, and it looks like we might have Daniel getting ready for a driver interview. Daniel, how's everything with you over there for you?
It's pretty cool. We are just here in front of Vortex, which is a pretty interesting French team here. There is a Swiss lady driver, who is called Karen Gaillard. She did pretty well in the 24 hour of Dubai at the previous race, where she was second at the finish. Today she wasn't super happy about that. About testing, she said that she had quite some problems, and I think she's just talking with somebody from the team. As soon as she will be available, we will ask her a couple of questions. I can see her just talking with somebody. Maybe we can just wait just a minute. Of course, this is of course being live. This is of course what the risk of being live on track. We cannot like manage 100% the time, but we'll try our best.
We'll definitely be trying our best. I know while you're waiting, I'll give everyone a quick rundown about Jennifer Jo Cobb's race at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Of course, Jennifer Jo Cobb, overall, Atlanta Motor Speedway, a rough, abrasive track. So handling is a big issue when it comes for all the drivers at Atlanta Motor Speedway. With Atlanta Motor Speedway, Jennifer Jo Cobb came home essentially 38th place, struggling. But of course, the big thing with Atlanta Motor Speedway, that older surface, if you don't have a vehicle that's handling good, it's not going to be a fun weekend at all. Same true for Haley Deegan. Haley Deegan, of course, started a little bit towards the front, but struggling with handling of that truck at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The big thing we see with Atlanta Motor Speedway compared to other mile-and-a-half tryovers that are similar, like Texas Motor Speedway, Kentucky, and others, that older surface, it just grinds the tires. So just imagine if you have any paper surface, rub sandpaper on it, you start tearing it up. That's what's going on with the tires at Atlanta Motor Speedway for all the racers. So it's a big thing when we see the racing drivers that are struggling. Very common. The big thing, of course, if you have a good car handling really well, you are going to work your way towards the front. It does look like we're still waiting for the potential interview, but definitely we thank everyone for joining in. We are very excited. First time at the track. Grid Network Racers and Girls Behind the Helmet. Very excited. Once again, we're at Mugello Circuit, so it's going to be a really exciting day of reporting to you and getting some interviews for all you tuning in at home or during your lunch break here in the United States. Now, we'll do also another quick story when it comes to, and it looks like we might have a interview shortly. So,
No, I'm still here waiting for Karen, but I think yes, she just chatting with from someone from the team. But I think we can try to see if Manuela Gosner is around here. She just has like her box is just on the other side. So I think we can just pop in and say, here she is. She's talking with her sister, who is also racing with her. It's a pretty interesting team because it's all family crew. There's Manuela, her father, her brother, and her sister racing all together in a very beautiful green Mercedes AMG GT3. This morning, Corinna, the Manuela's sister, had a little off, and they picked up a little bit of damage, but I think they did manage to fix the car. I think Manuela is almost ready, hopefully. Of course, Manuela Gosner, we all know her from the Iron Dames project, the all-female Iron Dames by Iron Lynx. They raced last year at the ELMS, European Le Mans Series, and this year, actually in 2021, it will be switching to WEC. And again, they will be again at the 24 Hour of Le Mans. Last year, they finished in 9th position in class in GTE. So definitely going to be interesting to see Manuela back again in that championship with very, very talented drivers, because of course she was racing with Rahel Fry and with Michelle Gatting. And she will be back in the same crew racing with them. And we will try to see if Manuela will just pop up over garage to have a chat with us.
definitely, I know as we wait for Manuel, one of the big stories, of course, was Sebring, the 12 hours. Catherine Legge, Christina Nielsen, and Thea from Brazil. And it looks like we might be having our first interview shortly. But definitely, as we were awaiting, one of the big things when it comes to the Sebring 12 hours, we did see the number 88 Hardpoint EBS Porsche come home fifth place, a chaotic 12 hours of Sebring this year. We saw a lot of safety car periods, cautions, and even the overall winner having to come back from 2 laps behind to take that win. Very chaotic Sebring 12-hour race. And we encourage everyone, if you saw the Sebring 12-hour race, comment. We'd love to share your comments or questions on the air, what you thought of that race as well. And overall, of course, Catherine Legge, Christina, and Bia, they were all competing in the GTD class, which is a very, very competitive class when it comes to IMSA competition. One of the big things with IMSA competition, their next race will be May, Mid-Ohio Sports Car Circuit. It's going to be very exciting day. I know it's going to be something where, for especially the sports cars, Mid-Ohio, that's going to be really tricky. We know Mid-Ohio is a little bit of a more narrow track compared to some of the other circuits, but definitely going to produce some great racing overall. One of the very exciting parts about sports car racing is, of course, the different classes, the different drivers. Catherine Legge, really interesting. Of course, she coming back from a leg injury last year, had to miss a lot of races in 2020. Now she is back racing. Very excited. And then Christina Nelson, full-time in IMSA. So having Bia come back after being away from the track, away from racing for quite some time, come home fifth place. That's a great comeback story for the two of them. Christina Nielsen, a big factor in that team as well, too, ensuring they got fifth place and potentially could have gotten even higher up on the track. So, of course, one of the questions is for the three of them, if they were to race at Mid Ohio, what are the chances of seeing them possibly on the podium, top three for their class? I think that is very realistic goal for them. They ran a good, solid race, fifth place overall. If you have tuned in to the IMSA pre-race show or post-race, hosted by Kobe Lambert from the podium finish, you would have seen us talking a little bit about the Hardpoint Racing team as well as with Aaron Vogel, our sports car expert as well. So very exciting results from the IMSA Sebring 12 hours. Now, well, I know we're waiting for another driver to come by, but definitely a quick question for Daniel. When it comes to Sophia Flores, and now she's going to DTM, was that news surprising to you?
Not really. I wouldn't say so. Not. Why we think we have Karen if she can. Sorry to interrupt your question. Hi, hi Karen. Thank you for your time. Tell us a little bit more about your day. How I went this morning.
We drive in the second pre-round test, not the first. And it was the first time I drove on this track. And yeah, there was a lot of oversteer, and the other driver had the same feeling as me, and now they are doing a setup because there's really a lot of oversteer and difficult. So it's better.
Awesome. Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. See you tomorrow.
Very exciting, wonderful. Sounds like an overall pretty eventful weekend for her. So,
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just missed your. Can you say it again?
not a problem. Very exciting to hear from her overall when it comes to evaluating her race team. I know we just heard from her, but for the viewers, what are some of the things you noticed while out there at the track from her performance?
This morning. Well, I think, I hope that you could hear Karen pretty well because, of course, the cars are still going around the track. There's still the second practice going on, so hopefully you all heard Karen well enough. I think, as she said, she had a very difficult morning for oversteering problems, and I think still it's still pretty early to say about the how the drivers are going, how the teams are going right now. We also had quite some red flags this morning. One was from a TCR car who in a female team. The second in TC4 hour of Dubai, and they crashed pretty heavily. Jasmine Preissig was set to race in that car. She was not behind the wheel when the crash happened, but hopefully they can still put the car back together because it was very, very heavily damaged. The front end was basically all ripped away from the car. So hopefully they will be back on track tomorrow. But I would say that overall it's still pretty early to say how the teams are in this week. And we all know that the Lamborghini, also the Ferrari and the Mercedes AMG cars here are very competitive, like in pretty much every GT3 championships. We will keep an eye out on that, and we'll have a look at the timesheets when the free practice 2 is going to be over. We were talking about Sophia Flörsch, I think, before we had the chat with Karen. Is that correct?
Yes, especially with Sophia announcing going to DTM. For some people, it was a surprise. You were saying it wasn't that big of a surprise for you.
No, exactly. I wouldn't say that it was a surprise, like at all, because I pretty much expected her to switch to DTM. I would say that she also tested the car in Hockenheim, at this last race in Hockenheim of 2020. It was the all electric concept that will probably or that will be the base of the car 2022 in DTM. Now, of course, we know that they switched to the GT3 format, to the GT3 regulations for a cost-effective, to a new cost-effective format. The series started to pick up the pace a little bit now. Some manufacturers and also some teams are joining the DTM after, of course, the Mercedes, both the Mercedes and the Audi manufacturer programs were terminated at the end of last year. So they were in a pretty difficult situation, but they managed to refresh a little bit the regulations, and now the series is starting to come alive again. And the Scheffler, which is a long-time partner of Audi, decided to step up its game and to sponsor Sophia Flörsch, which of course in Germany is a pretty big name. So I think marketing-wise, it's very good strategy for Scheffler and Audi. She will be racing with the Abt Motorsport team, which is also, of course, involved in Formula E, as you all know. I think it's a pretty good step for Sophia, coming from last year, that she also it was her debut in ELMS in a sports car. So yeah, I think it was a good step for her, but not probably a surprise, even though she had said that she wanted to come back to Formula 3 for another season. But yeah, it doesn't come as a surprise to me personally.
Very interesting. I know, especially with the sponsorship at Motorsports, that is a big deal. Very exciting. And of course, for everyone that are not familiar with DTM, of course, they have 8 rounds this year. The first race will be at Monza, June 19th through the 20th. Sophia will continue her WEC participation to the LMP2. And of course, we all know she had earlier tested with Extreme E, very active. She said today on her Instagram she does intend to continue her Formula program as well, which is really exciting for Sophia Flörsch. She's only 20 years old, has a lot of diverse racing experience, so very exciting to see her potential. She could be one of the most versatile racers right now when it comes to races around the world. 20 years old, you got off-road racing, Formula racing, LMP2, and now touring car racing. I'll almost say it's the one thing that's almost thinking to me is stock cars. Do you think maybe we could see Sophia Flörsch in the United States, IndyCar, NASCAR, especially if NASCAR is doing more road courses? Is that a potential?
That's a really interesting question. I'm not sure about NASCAR. I haven't. I don't know if she follows NASCAR, but she definitely follows IndyCar, and I think that would be a dream for pretty much every driver that started out in single seaters. Just today, she said on her Instagram page that of course the single seaters Formula cars are still pretty much on her mind right now. Of course, switching to DTM, one would think that it's a little bit of a thing that one driver can do later on in his or her career. But actually, I think it's not more the case. There's a lot of very competitive series right now, like WEC, ELMS, and IMSA, for example, and of course IndyCar and also NASCAR, of course. So I think that right now, even though she said that at some time in her career she would love to try Formula 2, and that of course right now it's a little bit difficult because she stepped out from Formula 3 that she did last year with Campos. But still, if she has like that Formula path on her mind, I think IndyCar would be a pretty interesting path to follow for her. NASCAR, I think here in Europe is starting to pick up the pace now, but still there is not a huge fan base, and also drivers that grew up here in Europe are just about starting to look at what NASCAR is doing, as you said correctly, with more road courses. There will be, I think, more and more interest in the coming years. Right now, I haven't heard from Sophia what she thinks of stock cars. But yeah, I think, as you correctly said, she's a very versatile driver, and she really found her pace last year in ELMS. So I think, and she proved that she was competitive straight away in the LMP2 car. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what her next steps in her career will be.
Very interesting. And of course, we do want to encourage all our viewers, especially a big shout out to Kella Lilly. Thank you for the comment. Kella said, need to see the coverage at the trackside. Good vibes. Definitely, we're very excited to hear that you're all enjoying this. This is our first time at the track for the Grid Network Racing Girls Behind the Helmet live on the internet. So definitely be sure to let us know where you're watching from, what questions you have. And going back, especially, I know as we were talking about a little bit of NASCAR for Haley Deegan, Jennifer Jo Cobb this race weekend. They're going to Bristol. It's not the normal Bristol race we're used to. It's a dirt race. Of course, Haley Deegan has done some dirt with the Arca Menard series recently over at Illinois Raceway, which is also, I believe, a horse track that uses race cars once a year. And overall, it's going to be really exciting to see when it comes to the big trucks, Xfinity, and NASCAR Cup Series cars at Bristol racing on the dirt. Very exciting stuff over at the NASCAR front. And of course, Haley Deegan, Jennifer Jo Cobb, they're both going to be racing this upcoming weekend as well. And we encourage everyone to be sure to visit the website. Racers, the girls behind the helmet, they have a full calendar of all the women racing around the world the upcoming weekend. Very exciting stuff, and we encourage everyone to keep tuning in to the Grid Network. Be sure to subscribe to us on the air. Very exciting stuff indeed. So, big thank you to everyone tuning in today. So we got
Grazie mille, quest'anno è veramente un anno incredibile che abbiamo davanti a noi. Iron Links ha alzato l'asticella e partecipiamo con Iron Dames e a tantissimi equipaggi anche maschili, sia nel WEC.
Posso dirti una cosa?
Sto registrando adesso.
In inglese perché ci stanno ascoltando
Scusami, certamente.
No, se va bene.
Certamente.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, this year is going to be amazing for sure. Iron Links will participate with various lineups in WEC, in the European Le Mans Series, Le Mans Cup, Ferrari Challenge. So a lot of great programs ahead of us. For us, Iron Links will be the first season in WEC, and the first time we will participate in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. So we will be very busy and very focused, and it will be very excited for all of us.
And also, you have another very interesting driver joining you with Catherine Legg. You had the opportunity to test with her last, I think, a couple of weeks ago. How is working with her?
It's fantastic. Catherine is a very great pro driver, and she is super experienced and a very lovely woman. So she was in 5 minutes integrated, like she was here with us 6 years. And everybody was very happy about her performance, her behaving, and everything. She's super lovely, and just very happy to have her with us on board on the Iron Dames.
And also, joining the Iron Dames, you have Maya from the FDI. Tell us a little bit more about the project and the partnership with Ferrari, and what do you think about her and her career coming up?
Yeah, yesterday it was a very great day because Maya will join the Iron Dames and will do her first season with the Formula 4 together with Iron Links and Glory Driver Academy. She won the FIA Women in Motorsport Racing Stars program, and now she now she is the first woman which is part of the Glory Driver Academy, which is really a big day for us. We are now the older generation, but now to see that the young girls really can make very impressive careers and take part in the most ambitious and the best academies and teams, this makes us very proud and very happy.
Absolutely. And a couple of words about your race here in Mugello this weekend with all the family, the Gosner family back together.
Yeah, of course, it's always a great pleasure to race together with my family. It's like like holiday a little bit, and I enjoy a lot to be to do the 12 and 24 hours with the crewman. We are driving with the Mercedes GT3 and AMG GT3, and I love to be here. I love Mugello, and this is a great series.
Also, switching from the Ferrari back to the Mercedes, how is the switching back and forth from one car to the another?
Well, it's not so difficult. It's I, I you get very used to it, and it's not a great problem at all.
Okay, cool. This morning you had a little small problem, I think.
Yes, there was a small contact with my brother nearly spun, then another car didn't saw the yellow flag, I guess, and catch my brother. It seemed in the beginning like a small damage, but then we figured out it was kind of a big impact, and they were not able to race at all, and so that's a pity for us, but no problem. We have 2 days ahead of us with a lot of racing, so I'm very looking forward to that.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to see you back again on track tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time, Manuela.
Thank you so much.
Grazie.
Ciao.
Ciao, grazie. Grazie mille.
Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao.
So that was Manuela Gosner, of course, one of the Iron Dame racers that does racing in WBC and PLMS. Very exciting to hear her. I know definitely viewers, all the viewers tune in and it's live at Mugello. We just heard from Manuela Gosner. And overall, especially really exciting to hear her take on everything. And when it comes to everything on the track, it sounds like practice is trying to wrap up, or are we still having some practice sessions going on over there?
Sorry, can you say again?
Not a problem. It looks like the track is starting to quiet down a bit. Is practice starting to wrap up there?
Yeah, I think there's last 20 minutes of the session now on track. As Manuela said, they have not run this afternoon after their contact, the small contact of this morning for the Mercedes. But yeah, they will be back tomorrow. As you said, the start is calming down a little bit. We will try to walk down the paddock some more to catch up with maybe Samantha Tan. Of course, the Canadian driver and owner of her own team with the BMW M4 GT4 car. She did very very well at the 2 opening rounds of the championship. Actually, the 24 hour of Dubai was the inaugural round, and then they had the 6 hour of Abu Dhabi, which was not part of the points scoring championship, but still she won both of the races in the GT4 class. So we will try to catch up with Samantha. We will try to walk down and catch up with her very soon.
Understand, and we definitely want to welcome everyone. We are now 30 minutes on the air. Daniel is reporting from the Mugello Circuit. Of course, we're still here in our Portland, Oregon studios for the Grid Network as Daniel is going to look for Samantha Tan and some other racers. We do want to invite everyone to be sure to visit the website, Racers, the girls behind the helmet, and get a full look at the counter of all the women racing this weekend. We got a lot going on this weekend, especially check it out. Both Armors, Jello, NLS, Formula 4 USA, and then, of course, as we talked about a little earlier on, Capital World Truck Series. We're going to be racing in the dirt, and of course, when you click on the link, you see there's Haley Deegan, Jennifer Jo Cobb, and Jessica Friesen. Jessica Friesen, very interesting story. Of course, she is the wife of Stuart Friesen. Stuart Friesen is going to be making his first NASCAR Cup Series race start on the dirt. Jessica Friesen has a lot of dirt racing experience. Very exciting to see the potential of her in the Truck Series on the dirt. It's something where the fans, I think, are going to be really thrilled to see the racing action this weekend at Bristol. And we'll go. Looks like we may have another interview lined up. Daniel's, of course, at the Mugello track. We'll go to Daniel right now.
So here we are. Samantha is just out of her car. I think she's still catching up with her engineers. They were looking for tires. We'll try to see. She was talking with someone from the team. As soon as she will be back, I'll ask for to come back live.
Not a problem. Of course, we encourage everyone to be sure to share in the chat room where you're watching from, what questions you have. Any questions, of course, we're live on the air. We'll be happy to answer them, share them with all the viewers. This is our first time for the Grid Network that we're at the track live. So very exciting day for all of us here at the Grid Network, as well as Racer, the girl behind the helmet. Earlier, we did hear from Manuela Gosner, Kari, and of course, we just talked about NASCAR IMSA, and then a little bit about Sophia Force. Of course, the big news, she is going to DTM later on this year. They have 8 rounds, first round at Monza. Now, when it comes to the IMSA Sebring 12 hours, we did talk about Bia, Christina, and Catherine, the number 88, taking a 5th place in GTD. Very exciting day for her. And especially that GTD class is pretty competitive. So, one of the big things we're going to be watching throughout the year, especially when they head over to Mid Ohio Sports Car Circuit. Now, of course, as we've been talking a lot about the racing upcoming, one of the big things, W Series. The W Series, very excited to see that they're back. Of course, they're going to be sharing the track time with Formula One, and Formula One is back in Bahrain. A little bit later wait for the W Series for them to come back, but I think the excitement is still there. I know we're very excited to share with everyone that on Fridays, tomorrow's Life on the Grid episode, we're going to be with Sabri Cook from the United States. She's going to be joining us on that episode, and we're going to have music from Ava Earl. Ava Earl, a musician from Girdwood, Alaska. Very exciting stuff. I know, Daniel, when it comes to especially the W Series, we talked to Sabri Cook. Very excited about her potential. And overall, especially for the viewers that are not familiar with who Sabri Cook is, can you give a brief introduction about Sabri Cook?
Oh yeah, definitely. Sabri Cook is a really interesting American driver, 25-year-old racer from Colorado. She raced she has a pretty big career in international karting. She went also over here in Europe to compete in some important karting competitions at the start of her career. Then she switched to Formula cars, and she did also the Formula 4 in the US, but never in a full season, I would say. She made her switch to Formula 3 machinery in 2019 when she joined the W Series, and she was one of the only 2 American drivers joining W Series and being selected for that championship, for the all-female championship. The other one was Shea Holbrook, of course. And now she qualified for the second year in a row in W Series. She did pretty well. She was also on the podium in the non-championship reverse grid race in Assen. And she will be back in W Series this year. She has raced also in the opening round of the Mazda MX-5 Cup. And we might just have Samantha. No, she's doing a photo shoot. I think she's doing a photo shoot right now with the team's photographer. So we will see if. Not sure if she can join us now because she's a little bit busy. But yeah, that's that was sorry for the interruption, but that was the Sabri cooking. We will have Sabri Cook tomorrow for an interview, so it's going to be really exciting.
Very exciting, and of course, we all know for racing drivers, all the PR you have to do, photo shoots with the team, the sponsors. So definitely it's one of those little things as we wait for some extra time. Everyone, be sure to check out tomorrow's episode of Life on the Grid. Sabri Cook will be our guest tomorrow, and music from Ava Earl. Very exciting episode. Toby does a great job hosting it, and he's going to be with Daniel tomorrow. So encourage everybody to check that out. And it looks like we might be getting ready for our next interview, possibly. For everyone just joining us, we are now 26 minutes on the air. Joe San Diego from the Grid Network Studios here in Portland, Oregon, and Dan from Mugello, the first site of 12-hour race and 24-hour series. So very exciting. Overall, been a really exciting show. We've had a couple of interviews already. We recapped the NASCAR race weekend at Atlanta, talked a little bit about the NASCAR race at Bristol, which is going to be upcoming and on the dirt. IMSA, Sebring 12 hours. 3 women were racing there. Catherine Lake, Tina, and Dia. 5th place for them in class in the number 88 CBS Porsche. Overall, very chaotic Sebring race. Quick question for you, Daniel. Were you able to watch the Sebring race, and was the chaos of that race something really surprising?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a little bit of a chaotic race, but very entertaining, very enjoyable from the beginning, I would say. The ending also was really uncertain until the checkered flag for pretty much every classes after the final full course yellow. Very nice race. was very happy to see Catherine, Bia, and Christina in contention for a top three. It wasn't meant to be, but I think it's going to be a matter of time in the coming races.
Yeah, just a matter of time. One of those deals where part of racing, and all around we always see something like this. Every few years, you have a more chaotic racing event. And I think that was just the nature of Sebring this year. Was going to be a lot more chaotic. Very excited to see what happened. Of course, for all our sports car fans, we invite you to check out our sports car coverage of IMSA, especially. We had a Sebring 12-hour preview. Myself, Kobe Lamb from the podium finish, and racer Aaron Vogel joining us. Spectacular job she did narrating the track. Very excited to have Aaron part of the IMSA pre-race team. Then, of course, we have our Sebring post-race hosted by Kobe Lambeth, along with Ben Schneider and myself. So definitely, if you're an IMSA sports car fan, we highly encourage you to subscribe to the Grid Network. And of course, later on this year, when the W Series starts, we're going to be bringing coverage of the W Series and our continued partnership with racers, the girls behind the helmet. Very exciting, 2021. Very exciting fact, of course, as well too. This is our first time at the racetrack live streaming for you, the fans. It's only going to be just about a month away from the very first Grid Network program on YouTube. And then we're going to be essentially 2 months away from 1 year for the Grid Network. Very exciting, bringing the coverage for all our fans at the Grid, from the Grid Network to you. Very, very exciting day, Grid Network, and a very, very exciting year. So definitely we encourage everyone, be sure to subscribe to the Grid Network and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and of course Twitter. We have 2 Twitter accounts there, at Grid Rank It and at Grid _ WML. That's the World Motorsport League. The World Motorsport League, of course, very similar to the Grid Ranking, will rate the drivers from each series. This includes DTM and for the first time, W Series. So it's very exciting. We're going to be seeing women in the Grid World Motorsport League. And what makes it really interesting with the World Motorsport League rating the W Series, unlike in the past where if you have, say, Haley Deegan in the Truck Series, unless Haley Deegan was to score top 10 finishes, the chances of her being scored in the WML were really low. However, with the W Series being included, this guarantees that whoever wins that W Series race, that's going to be a win in the WML. Potentially, if we were to see a driver in the W Series dominate and just, be really top 3 each and every race, we could have a female racer lead the W Series. That is really huge potential, really equalizes the competition, and definitely it's going to be a very exciting year for everyone. Be sure to follow the Grid World Motorsport League. Now, it looks like we did lose Daniel a little bit, waiting for the internet connection to come back. Of course, for everyone just joining us, we are live on the air. Daniel is from the Mugello Circuit in Italy. Definitely encourage everyone, stick around. We're going to be having more driver interviews coming up shortly. One of the big things we talked about a little bit earlier was Sabri Cook. Sabri Cook, of course, is going to be on tomorrow's episode of Life on the Grid. He is joining with Ava Earl, a musician out of Birdwood, Alaska. She'll be performing her song. Sabri Cook, of course, engineer, race car driver, W Series racer. She'll be on the air with us tomorrow. Very exciting episode. That's going to be around 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. And for everyone in Alaska, that's 2 p.m. your time. Very exciting show that we have planned for everyone tomorrow. And of course, Saturday, we have Grid Life pre-race. Very exciting weekend overall. Along with all the racing going on in Mugello, the dirt tracks, we have the return of Formula One and MotoGP. 2 huge series. Very excited to have them both back. For Formula One, everybody's wondering, can Lewis Hamilton get another championship? Can Max Verstappen beat Lewis Hamilton? Can somebody else surprise him? Could Bottas, he's always been there at the first race, get that win? Can he keep it up and get a championship? Or could Sergio Perez be the big surprise of the year? A lot of questions there. Even more questions when it comes to MotoGP. MotoGP, we've seen what happened last year when Marc Marquez didn't race. So many different winners. Juan Mir, one race win, takes the championship through consistency. Are we going to see something very similar to that again? Or are we going to see a driver, especially somebody like Fabio Quartararo, who is now with the factory Yamaha team, or Jack Miller with Ducati, who one didn't break through and be a dominant force in the MotoGP season? It's going to be very exciting. Of course, Saturday, noon Eastern, we're going to be all chatting about Formula One, Bahrain Grand Prix, MotoGP, Qatar Grand Prix, and NASCAR, the Food City Dirt Race. Really interesting to see this weekend come up. It's going to be a very exciting weekend. A special programming note on Sunday, Grid Life Wrap Up will not be on the air due to scheduling conflicts. So it's going to be something where we'll have our Grid Life pre-race, but then the following Sunday on April 4th, circle that in your calendar. We're going to be on the air to recap the weekend racing and week one of the grid ranking. For those not familiar with the grid ranking scores 7 Premier Series, NASCAR, Formula One, Formula E, MotoGP, World Rally Championship, IndyCar, and of course the Australian Supercar Series. Those 7 series all comprise of the grid ranking. At the end of the year, we have one world champion. We've been doing this for the past 4 years. This is our 5th season. First season, we saw Martin Truex Jr. from the United States in the NASCAR Cup Series take the championship. Second place was Marc Marquez. Why Marc Marquez did I bring up? Because the next year, Marc Marquez won the grid ranking world championship. Of course, he drives the number 93 Honda in MotoGP. And then the following year, he became the first 2-time grid ranking world champion. Back-to-back grid ranking world championship. Very exciting in the number 93. However, last year, with him out, MotoGP, we really didn't see anybody dominate the season. We saw Fabio lead one weekend of the grid ranking, but as soon as he started falling back down, we saw another leader, Scott McLaughlin. He led just about almost every weekend until the very end. Lewis Hamilton, now Sir Lewis Hamilton, took the 4th grid ranking season, becoming the 3rd racer to win the grid ranking world championship title. This year is going to be really interesting. Of course, for the grid ranking scoring, you need to complete 2 races before the series is scored. Formula One, MotoGP, and IndyCar will not be scored in this first week. Of course, IndyCar, they're not going to start the season until later in April. So we're not going to see them for quite a few weeks. Same with MotoGP and IndyCar. However, once the 3 series score 2 races completed, they will be part of the grid ranking. So we're going to see Formula E, Supercars, NASCAR, and World Rally Championship in the first week scoring. Right now, it is projected, and this is a projection, that Shane Van Gisbergen will be the grid ranking world championship leader, since he is 5 for 5 this year, 5 wins in the first 5 races. Very impressive numbers, including that 3rd race coming from 17th place to pick up the win. So we invite everybody sure to circle the date April 4th, Grid Life Wrap Up, first week of the grid ranking. We're still waiting for Daniel, hopefully, to reconnect from the racetrack. We're going to take a quick 30-second break from our friends at Publis. Joe Samaniego here. Want to invite you to go check out Publis. Publis is a dog clothing and accessory company based in Austria. 10% of each of your purchases goes to helping dogs in need, whether it's homeless, sick, or ill dogs. This is one of the reasons why we support it. Kiska here is a rescue dog from rural Alaska and our grid office dog. We care about our furry buddies, and we know you do as well. Definitely check out Publis.com. There's a link on the video description, and by clicking on that link, you get a 10% discount on your purchase as well. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Women Racing to Win. Joe Samaniego here. Daniel is at the Mugello Circuit. Temporarily, we've lost connection with Daniel. We're hoping to get a connection within the next 10 minutes or so. For everyone just joining us, of course, we had missed earlier, we had 3 drivers that we've already chatted to. The reason why we're all at Mugello, the 24-hour series is at Mugello right now for the 12-hour race. We got a lot of racers there. Very excited to have you on this program as well, because it's the first time we are live at the track. We have never done this before. It's been a lot of fun. We hope you're enjoying it as well. Definitely share in the comments what are some of their favorite racetracks to go to. In case you missed it, we talked a little bit about a bunch of drivers, and we see we have Daniel rejoining us. Welcome back, Daniel. How's everything going at the racetrack?
Yeah, we just lost connection. Sorry about that. We are back in the media center, as you can see. I think it wasn't meant to be for to interview Samantha. She was a little bit caught up in some marketing operations with her team, but we will definitely record something and send out some good content in the next few days for everyone.
One of those deals, of course, with racers, sponsorship commitments, photo shoots, even the NASCAR Cup Series is really hard to lay down a sponsorship commitment when you got so many sponsors. It's just part of racing. I know I was just telling everyone we're very excited to have this rare opportunity, first time at the track. Overall, how has the day been at Mugello? I know it's been really pretty. We saw earlier in the program the sunset. For the fans not familiar, how's everything been this first day, and how is it compared to past years, especially we're still in this pandemic era?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It was a beautiful day, actually, pretty warm, even though we are at the end of March. Still, very, very nice day, very warm, sunny all day. The sun has just set over the horizon here, just behind the Tuscan hills. But yeah, it's still pretty warm. Which is some kind of, it's, not often you get that kind of weather here at this racetracks. And good question about the comparison with last year. I think we are still a little bit in this. It still very feels like 2020. I would say it's our first 2021 race at the track for this year, and it's still very much like last year. Nothing has changed. The protocols are the same. The safety protocols are really on top of everyone's priority. It's not easy, not always the easiest ways to work like this, but still we are trying to do our best. And yeah, I think this is all we can do until this situation comes a little bit back to what we used to call normal.
Totally understand. A lot different, even here in the United States, of course. NASCAR, all the series racing with limited numbers of crew. And we even saw NASCAR won't have the pit crews since the dirt race doesn't have to pit stops. Now, of course, I know we talked a little bit earlier about Sophia Flores, the big news she was going to DTM. IMSA, Sebring, especially Bia, Catherine Legg, both of them, we know they had a rough 2020. We haven't seen Bia in the racetrack. How good is it, especially for Bia, to come back to the track and have a top 5 finish in a very competitive GTD class?
Yeah, it's very important, of course, and we reported last episode last week that she was coming back after 1 year away from the racetracks, and of course it was very important to come back in a car, and especially in a very powerful car like the Porsche 911 GT3. And she did very well. She did very well. Also compared to Catherine Legg and Christina Nielsen, which have been on track and on that car in the previous round in Daytona. So I think I'm not sure if she's gonna come back to IMSA for more races this year. But definitely it was a pleasure to see her back in competitive racing after she had this year off. And it was a very difficult year. Obviously, she gave birth to her first child, which so definitely happy for her. But also she had a pretty difficult year on a personal level. So I think that coming back to competitive racing and doing well was very important for her.
Very important indeed. And of course, off the track, for all the drivers, there's always stuff going on where it makes it a little tricky. And especially with the pandemic travel restrictions, we know that has played a big role for a lot of drivers. Now, of course, when it comes to this weekend, 12 hours of Mugello race, of course, for a lot of folks, this is the 24-hour series. Not a whole lot of people know about this series. This is, I believe, their second or third round of the year. Overall, when it comes to the competition this year, how are we looking at when it comes to different classes and the racers? And are we seeing any clear cut favorites?
I think yes, it is the third round, but it's the second round of the championship because, of course, we had the 6 hour of Abu Dhabi, which was not a championship paying round. So still the second round in points, and so the only long race that we've seen so far was the 24-hour race of Dubai. And I think it would be a little bit early to talk about favorites. I wouldn't be so sure about that in any classes. For anyone that is not familiar with this championship, it's very much like any endurance races, endurance championship, where you have a decent number of classes competing together. We have a GT3, we have a GTX, with GT4, with TCR. So pretty much like. Many other endurance championships, and there are many good drivers and good teams. Most of them are also competing in other famous championships, like for example the GT World Challenge, both in Europe and also in America. Of course, Samantha Tan Racing, which is the team owned by the driver owner. Samantha is also competing in GT World Challenge America. And yeah, so also the TCR category is also very interesting. There are many important teams. But speaking about clear favorites, I wouldn't be so sure after just one long round, I would say.
Very competitive overall. I know earlier we talked a little bit about the calendar this upcoming weekend. So we have the 12 hours Mugello, Formula 4, NASCAR race weekend. A lot of racing overall going on. I know it's been a crazy last 12, 13 months with the pandemic situation. Overall, especially as we're seeing more races coming back in the start of the season, we know the vaccinations are rolling out. Do you sense, like, over in the pits, that is just the joy of being at the track is even more so compared to years past where we sometimes took that for granted?
That's for sure. I think also the first race that I was back on track after the pandemic was in Paul Ricard last year. I think it was in July last year. And yeah, I think everyone was like a group of family or a group of friends coming back to school after a long time, and we were all very happy to be back on track and to seeing each other again. Of course, with all the regulations and of course with all the precautions that we can take, but of course it's not like the same time doing like conferences on Zoom. So it's all cool, and we all need that. But of course, when you're here in sharing the the pit lane and speaking with somebody that you know and that you've met before, it was great. And also coming back here this year, I think it was pretty much the same feeling.
And we invite everyone to be sure to follow Racers, the girls behind the helmet. They have a website, and as you can see on the screen, a full listing of all the female racers this weekend, including the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, where we're seeing Jessica Friesen making her debut race, road dirt racing race. Very exciting. I know we're just about out of time. Daniel, thank you so much for allowing us to join you at the Mugello racetrack. Very exciting. And I think for a lot of the fans, hearing the race cars in the background, especially early on, very exciting. Any last words before we go off the air today?
Well, thank you for having me. It was a great pleasure to speak with you again here. And sorry for the interruption, for the connection interruption, but I think we managed to make it work. It was we said this before going on the air. It was a little bit of an experiment, and if we can do it again, it's going to be again great for everyone following us and even for us here.
And definitely, of course, it was a lot of fun. Very excited. I know the fans, some of the feedback we got looks really good. And we thank everyone for joining us today on the first time at the track. Definitely looking forward to doing more of these on the track episodes, especially as the Grid Network continues to grow. We encourage everyone to visit our Patreon, subscribe, support the Grid Network, and definitely be sure to visit Racers, the Girls Behind the Helmet, ensure that they continue covering all the female racers around the world. For Daniel, I'm Mugello. I'm Joe from Portland, Oregon. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Joe Samaniego here. Want to invite you to go check out Poblis. Poblis is a dog clothing and accessory company based in Austria. 10% of each of your purchases goes to helping dogs in need, whether it's homeless, sick, or ill dogs. This is one of the reasons why we support it. Kiska here is a rescue dog from rural Alaska and our Grid office dog. We care about our furry buddies, and we know you do as well. Definitely check out poblis.com. There's a link on the video description, and by clicking on that link, you get a 10% discount on your purchase as well.